It took him less than 6 years. Killed half the population of Europe, 25 million people. Note that it is not 2,500. Is 25 million. Streets across the continent are empty. The house is unoccupied. The crops are ripe in the field, and no one harvests. Italian writer Bergacu talks on the 10th. There's a sentence in it. The living have no time to bury the dead. This is not rhetoric. Florence at that time. Every morning, collectors pushing carts, shouting in the street, "Throw out the dead." Dozens of bodies stuffed in a pit. Sprinkle a layer of stuff, another layer, like lasagna. And Bergacu saw this firsthand. When he wrote this, hands are probably shaking. This catastrophe has come to be known by many names. They call him the Great Death. Call him the Great Plague. Call him the end of the world. Later, people gave him a shorter name. The Black Death, but for more than 600 years. One question. It has been squatting in the shadow of history. No answer. The plague that changed the course of human civilization. Where to start? Who or what? Hit that devastating start button. Countless historians, archaeologists have turned Europe upside down. Can't find the source. Mass graves were dug in London. The ruins of the port in Italy have been turned over. Church cemeteries in France sifted. Are not murderers. Killed half of Europe. But no one knows which direction he came from. The thing itself, it's a spine-chilling mystery. Until a stone speaks. Summer of 1886. A Russian archaeological team approaching Lake Issyk in Kyrgyzstan today. Records have dug up to 7. The location is called Kalajiga Bala. Mori's hidden. It's a Ni, residents of the Stolian Christian community. These people were doing business along the Silk Road. Hand silk spice. Jewelry leads a rich and busy life. The archaeological team dug up stones engraved with the year. Most of them were concentrated in 1338 and 1339. No one thought much of this year. Just record, joining the party. But on one of the tombstones, some people use an ancient one that has been dead for hundreds of years, engraved with a line of words, translated to be the tomb of the Samaj, who died as a believer. He died of the plague. The word plague was used in the 14th century context. It's a very vague word, but it's a very scary word. It refers to everything that can transform the entire village. Diseases wiped off the map. Could be smallpox, could be typhoid. It could have been something else. The archaeologists at the time copied down the inscription. Pack the ancient sea in a box. Return to St. Petersburg, stuffed into the museum's archives. And the boxes lay there for over 100 years. Filled with ash. Samej, the merchant who died in 1338. As if it never existed. The turnaround occurred more than 100 years later. Stirling University, Scotland. Learn from someone who studies medieval economic history. Philip Slavin. When looking through old files, accidentally bumped into the 1886 excavation report. He noticed a detail that wasn't right. It's not symmetrical. In just 2 short years from 1338 to 1339, this small trading community, 118 people were buried. What is the concept of 118 people? The number of people who die in a small town in 2 years, more than in the last few decades combined. And the same word appears, over and over again on the tombstone. Plague Slavin stared at the numbers. Heartbeat probably missed a beat. He has a strong intuition. This was the beginning of the Black Death. But intuition is zero in science. No DNA, no false positives. All he had was a pile of yellowed papers and speculation from over 100 years ago. He needed help. And these helpers. In Germany, Max Planck. In the lab of the Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology. Busy with another thing. A group of paleogeneticists. For several years, I've been doing something that sounds impossible. See the family tree for Yersinia pestis. They come from modern and ancient samples from around the world. From the teeth of plague victims buried for hundreds of years. Extraction sequencing. Compare over 1,300 Yersinia pestis DNA profiles were saved. The family department depicted is very clear. In the early 14th century, Yersinia pestis had a major outbreak from a single maternal poison pig, suddenly splitting into 4 new branches. One of them is the one with Europe painted on it. But where is that maternal poison pig? Not in Europe. Strains found in victims of the Black Death in Europe. Already, 1 or 2 more pictures than the original version. That is to say, the Yersinia pestis bacteria caught in Europe. It was carried by the son. It was carried by the grandson. The real murderer is someone else. And never left the crime scene. That scene must be elsewhere. The 2 clues come together. Slavin contacted the museum in St. Petersburg. There are still bones excavated in 1886. The 2 sides decided to do one thing. From Kalachi, a business person named Thamachi, looking for DNA in his teeth. It is a human heritage that preserves traces of pathogens in the most ideal place. The blood vessels in the pulp used to flow. Blood throughout the body. After the bacteria in the blood die there, will be sealed by tooth enamel for hundreds of years. Several researchers in a sterile room, using a very fine drill to grind through the roots of teeth that are more than 700 years old, take samples and send them for sequencing. Days to wait for the results. No one slept well. Here it is. Out of 7 samples, there are 3 people's DNA extraction physics. The genetic characteristics of Yersinia pestis emerged. Clearly characterized. No statistical explanation is required. These merchants who died in 1338 died from the plague, and the line on the tombstone of Sanmach, he died of the plague. Verbatim. But what really made everyone jump out of their chairs? It's a whole genome sequencing comparison. Strains cut from victims in Karachi. Not just any plague strain. It's the maternal strain. He is the ancestor of all subsequent divergences of the plague. They found patient 0 of the Black Death. He's not a specific person. It's a specific place. A specific year is 1338. At the foot of Tian Shan Mountain, north shore of Lake Issyk, on the Silk Road, a small village that no one has ever heard of. So how did this happen? This is quiet. Bacteria that have been hiding in the scoundrels for hundreds of years. Why did you suddenly turn your guns on humans? Isekal region. It's plague all natural to this day. MP's Hanta kills rats. All kinds of voles naturally carry Yersinia pestis. Jump from generation to generation, jumping back and forth between them. All right, but around 1338, the climate of Central Asia may have happened once. Unusually warm thing. Spring comes very early. The rain is as lush as the grass and the wind. The number of grazing teeth exploded. One more animal. More fleas. One more flea. The efficiency of bacterial transmission goes up exponentially. One day, a hunter was captured by a hunter. For his fur or just for the meat. His fleas jumped onto people. Or the blood of the hunter, stained with hunter's wounds, just for a moment. Yersinia pestis completed the species, crossing from animals to humans. It's called one-out effect. Speaking human words is a virus that has jumped ship. Those things buried in the Kalajigachi burial ground is the key to understanding the last piece of the puzzle. Slavin saw in the excavation report, the graves of the dead contain pearls from the Indian Ocean. There are Persian coins. There are Mediterranean-style jewelry. It means these people are not farmers. They are business people. It's the Silk Road one, a link in a decades-long trade chain. They're dead, but their colleagues didn't die. Comrades herding camels, carrying the goods all the way west. The black rat got into the cargo bag on the camel's back. Fleas on black rats carry Yersinia pestis, bacteria. Caravan from a settlement. Walk to the next settlement. Every post is a new opportunity for contagion. The plague was like this at a speed of dozens of kilometers per day, crossing the Pamir Plateau in silence, through the deserts of Central Asia, through the mountains of the Caucasus. No one knew he was already on his way. In 1346, he went to the city of Kaffa on the Black Sea. Kaffa was at war. The Mongol army besieged the city. The siege was painful. The plague began to spread in the Mongolian barracks. Soldiers fell one by one, skin darkening, underarms and retro furrows, swollen egg-sized bags, die within 3 days. The Mongol general issued an order. This order, it was later written into every textbook of infectious diseases. They took the bodies of the plague, thrown into the city of Kaffa with a catapult. The world's first biological warfare. The Genoese merchants in the city went crazy, hastily boarded the ship and fled to the Mediterranean Sea. They thought they would be safe from the siege. What I don't know is, Black Rat in the cabin already brought that flag from Kalaji. Yersinia pestis that came all the way. Ship docked at Military Tandenberg begins dead docking at Messina. Messina begins to die. Stopped in Marseille. Marseille began dead in the autumn of 1347. The Black Death made landfall in Sicily, Italy. Paris, 1348. London and Vienna fell, one after another. The whole of Europe has become a huge the morgue where it all started. It was in 1338, a merchant named Samich, at the foot of the Tianshan Mountains in Kyrgyzstan, bitten by a flea. From the cemetery of a small mountain village to the collapse of Europe, there was a gap of 10 years. 10 years, a game that changed the course of human civilization. Level plague, quietly completed from a remote mountain village. The entire journey to the global stage. This is the Black Death, the final piece of the origin puzzle. It's not a horror story, although it is more terrifying than all horror stories. He's a letter of explanation that goes back over 600 years. Write a fact clearly in my heart. Our seemingly vast civilization. On some level, it has always been held by a very thin one. A flea. A cemetery in the mountains. The name of a forgotten business person. These little things that are almost invisible. Huddled together, the history of the world. Screw it in the other direction.